Today on Shredding Spree, your boy Chris is doing some racing again. It is Sunday, November 14th, and I'm out here at the Vail Lake Mountain Bike Park. They're holding an enduro race out here, 3 stages, and I thought I'd come out and give it another whirl. Last time I raced, it didn't work out too well for me. Still had fun. Today, a little different mindset. I was able to get out yesterday and do a little bit of pre-riding on the course, and it seems pretty fun. I don't feel like there's a ton to know as far as lines go. Was able to find some good flow on the trails, and so I'm looking forward to trying to go a little faster today. We came out on Friday and stayed at the campground that's attached to this bike park, and it's been a really nice time, other than my wife dying of allergies. Quick bike update, we're on the Stumpjumper Evo today. I've got some fresh carbon 1-up bars on there for some good flex. Running the Geo, neutral in the head tube and high on the bottom bracket. Got the Mullet set up still. No other real updates to give you. I did notice yesterday after my practice runs, gave my back tire a little gander, and one of the knobbies is tearing off on it already. I don't have a lot of miles on these tires, and so that's actually 2 tires in a row. Started coming apart on me. Hopefully it holds today and I don't have to pull off because I shredded a tire. I'm just having a nice leisurely pedal up to the top right now. I gotta get to the top of that mountain, and I'll pick this back up when getting ready to drop in. I'm excited to take you along for the ride. Let's see how we do today. Have a good run, boys.
In my intro, I failed to mention that I was signed up to race in the Master 30 to 39 class. I had initially signed up for Men's Expert, but then I saw the Master class, which had an age bracket attached to it, so I'll take that. When it comes to racing, I talk a lot about classes because it's important. I want to be matched up with riders I can be competitive with. I don't want to get last place, but I don't want to demolish a class and look like a sandbagger either. When you're not racing pro, personally I'd rather finish mid-pack than win by a huge margin, because that just tells me you should have classed up to begin with. Moving on. I have to apologize ahead of the ride footage because I completely lost all sound on the second 2 stages. I'm using an external mic setup on the GoPro, which sounds great, but on the second 2 stages the mic wasn't quite plugged in all the way, so I ended up with no sound on those runs. In light of this mishap, I'll go ahead and hold my commentary for this first stage before the malfunction, so you can enjoy the sweet sounds of raw mountain biking while we have it.
4, 3, all the way out, down the whole 1, go! Good job!
Woohoo! Coming in hot. I went a little too hard. I was all over the place.
Coming out of stage 1, I felt like I had decent lines, but definitely made a few solid mistakes, starting with my mistiming on the start.
3, all the way out, down the whole 1, go! Good job!
Woohoo!
Total amateur move, right? I guess I was a little too excited to pay attention to the way the timekeeper was counting down, and I almost jumped the gun. Then after that, I sort of slipped and slid through a handful of the turns. Knowing how short that stage was kind of added to my overzealousness because I felt like any time lost would be hard to make up later. So after stage 1, I ended up sitting in 2nd place out of 8 competitors, roughly 2 seconds behind the leader. Pretty solid considering my silliness at the start. Stage 2 was a little more than twice as long as the first stage. It initially had a lot of pedally sections and flat turns that could get you into trouble if you weren't careful. There were also a handful of techie spots where line choice was moderately important. However, as a whole, I don't think there were more than a couple spots outside the main line on this trail where you could find a clever line to save some time. Come to think of it, I kind of felt that way about all the stages of this race, which is why I felt ready to race after only pre-running each stage once the day before. Overall on this stage, I felt like I ran it really solid and safe. I wouldn't point to many sections where I could have gone much faster until the end of the stage where I caught some traffic, which may have added a few seconds to my time. Speaking of which, I crossed the line at the end of stage 2 with a 3rd place, slightly less than 2 seconds behind the leader. This was the point in the day where we actually looked at the current standings and I saw that I was now sitting in 3rd place overall, just shy of 4 seconds behind the leader. That's some tight racing, especially in the amateur ranks. For the 3rd and final stage, I approached it much like the 2nd stage. I was calm, definitely trying to go fast, but still within my comfort zone. I felt like I needed to keep my cool at the top of the run where it was basically rocky tech mixed with a mellow jump trail. Mostly because this stage finished off with what I would guess was about a half-mile death pedal on almost flat ground. I knew I'd have to have plenty of gas in the tank for this part because pedaling isn't really my strong suit. So I made it through this stage in one piece with a pretty respectable run. After reviewing the tape, I can see a few spots where I could have gone a bit faster, but overall I felt great about the day. It was so awesome to step outside of my typical riding routine and explore this new place. As a grown-ass man, I gotta say that while racing does feed my competitive spirit, my favorite thing about being at the races is hanging out and making some new friends. Every person you meet out there on the course is another potential riding buddy or trail guide. I find that immersing yourself into the mountain bike community by going to races has been super rewarding. In the few races I've done, I've made some pretty solid friends each time. So as for the final results of the race, things kind of got interesting on the 3rd stage. This is actually the guy that was sitting in 2nd place coming into the 3rd stage. He had some kind of mechanical issue, which broke his chain roughly halfway through his run before the death pedal, so that basically killed his time. As for the leader coming into the last stage, this mistake cost him about 10 seconds, which was enough to get your boy on top of the box, so I'm currently living happily ever after. I got called up to the podium where they mispronounced my name,
Christopher Pate,
and my 7-year-old still wasn't impressed. I'm starting to believe he'll never think I'm cool. So that does it for my race recap of the Vail Lake Enduro. Thanks for watching and I hope you're all doing well.